Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to Recovery 209, man. This is episode 2. And today I'm truly honored to sit down with a special guest, someone who is living proof that recovery is possible. She's here with us to share her experience, her strength, and her hope. This conversation is about addiction, recovery, and what it really looks like to bring light into places that were once filled with darkness, right? If you're listening right now and you're struggling, I want you to know this episode is for you. You're not alone, and there is hope, man. So let me add her on right now. Bear with me, bear with me.
Oh,
There
no.
she is.
Hello.
How you doing? How you doing?
Good. My Brooklyn wanted to say hi real fast.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi, Uncle Chongo.
How you doing?
Good.
You get it so big, huh?
Yeah.
How old are you now?
11, about to be 12 in 4 months.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Nice. It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Are
Okay,
you
go
taking
close.
care? Are you taking care of your brothers and sisters?
Yeah.
Are you being the big sister?
No.
Oh
I
boy.
love the honesty.
Right, right.
Say hi to Uncle
So,
Chongo. Hi.
how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. You're getting big too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, go
man.
close the door, okay? Thank you. How are you?
So, I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm doing good.
That's good.
Um,
I got the look like.
for all the listeners who don't know who you are, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and
Yes, let
your
me.
sober date too, please?
Yes, so my name is Marissa, and I have my sober date is October 28th. Okay. Go, please. Sorry, life is about kids, right?
Of course.
Um, my recovery date is October 28th, 2021. Yeah. So I have 4 years and 2 months, 3 months.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Um, so what does recovery mean to you today?
Oh man, recovery is life today. If it wasn't
Mm,
for recovery, I wouldn't be breathing. So in order to breathe, I have to have recovery. In
mm-hmm.
order to have a life, I have to have recovery. In order for my kids to have a mother, I have to have recovery.
Right, right, right. Uh, what does Recovery 209 mean to you?
Recovery 209. Is that like an area code?
Are you from there?
Yeah, that's where yeah, thanks. Thank you. Um, Hold on. My kids know this is happening. I don't know where it's at. Please go and close the door. Sure. Um, Recovery 209. That's where it all started. The addiction, the behaviors. And honestly, it's the place I try and stay away from now because in
Uh-huh.
recovery, I was taught to change everything, people, places, and things. Um, and I do go there because I visit my loved ones and I go back to recovery. But honestly, I have more bad stories than good stories in that department, but yet, not but. And that's all.
So, so
Yeah.
what did life look like? growing up for you?
Life was interesting growing up because I have the little girl version and then I have the version that I only wanted to see when I was in my alcoholism and my addiction, and then I have the version I look at it today. So growing up, I was raised by my grandparents, and thank God they raised me because my biological mom, she was an addict, alcoholic, and she passed away to this disease.
Mm,
My biological dad was in prison pretty much my whole life. And he's also an addict. I mean, he's still out there doing what he has to do. Um, and by all means, I was always that child that told myself I was never going to be like them. Never, ever am I going to be like them because I had a great role model. I had a mom that loved me. I had a dad that loved me. They kept us sheltered and away from things that we normally, that a lot, how can I say this? Sorry. We were sheltered, I feel like, in really good ways now as an adult. When I was younger, I felt like it was just control and they wanted to ruin my life,
mm-hmm.
kind of deal. Now that I'm a parent, though, like I try and shelter my kids from everything that's bad of the world.
Right.
But growing up, for me, it was normal because I didn't know anything else,
Mm-hmm.
and by the grace of God, I didn't start my addiction and my alcoholism until I was an adult.
Right.
Um, did I dib and dab a little when I was in my high school years? Yes, but I hated it. Like I hated the taste of it. I hated the feeling of it. Um, I really did not like to feel in control of myself when I was younger. So it was never something that attracted me. And if I did do it, it was for somebody else more than for myself, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. You know,
Yeah.
um, and I really wish, that families could raise their kids or how back in the day it was. Like, I can't let my kids play out till the lights go out, the
Yeah.
sun goes down, unless I'm out there with them.
So,
Um,
so do you feel like because you were sheltered, you got to a certain age where you wanted to go out and experience the things that you didn't get to experience?
oh, most definitely. Because you know, because I was sheltered, I was raised with all boys. So I felt as if my life was a little bit different. I was raised by grandparents. So, they taught me how to cook, clean, help take care of my loved ones, which I'm forever grateful for now, but I could look back that I wasn't, you
Mm-hmm.
know. I lost a brother when I was 15 years old. Uh,
Yeah.
I remember, and I think that's really where I wanted to start experimenting, searching for something that I wasn't necessarily getting at home anymore.
Right, right.
And alcohol was the first thing I tried, and it
Mm-hmm.
was at a friend's house. And I remember doing things that I would have never have done at that age if I didn't have something other than alcohol consuming my body at that time.
Do you remember how you felt when you first took that first drink?
Oh yeah, I remember how I felt. I felt invincible. I used the
Mm,
word. Still to this day, like nothing could stop me. I mean, I was sleeping across the street at my friend's house from my parents' house. I was 15, and we were sneaking out her window, which was in the front yard, knowing that I could get caught, but I really didn't care because I wasn't in the right mind frame. Um, And it was the cool thing to do. Like, as long as I could be cool in her eyes, my friend's eyes, that's all that mattered. I would deal with the consequences later.
Right, right,
And,
right.
and, yeah, I really, but that was it. Like,
Hmm.
that was it until my senior year. And then, you know, the cousins, the marijuana got in the picture. I remember the first time I smoked that was in the bathroom around the corner from my house at the park.
Hmm.
And I hated it. Like, I hated, I was paranoid. I felt like everybody at the park was watching me. They knew what I just did. I mean, at the time, my uncle was a cop. Like, I thought he was going to find out. And I'm sure he knew,
Right.
but he never brought it up. I mean, you think you don't smell of the alcohol or of marijuana or meth, and you do.
Hmm.
So yeah, definitely. And then I stopped. And then I went into the military. Um, got super sick in the military. God had different plans. Got discharged out of the military. That's where I met my ex-husband at. We traveled from South Carolina to Korea, and I think that's really where the starting point of my addiction started without me knowing that I had a problem at the time. I thought, oh, well, I'm just young and out there. You could drink at the age of 18 if you know the right people. And for me, like going to South Korea, it was just a party scene. Every
Hmm.
day I could go out and do something because he was in the military and he was working and it didn't matter. I mean, that happened for months. And then I decided it just wasn't the life for me. And I moved back home. Um, and life kind of got chaotic after that. Like everybody had an opinion on how my life should be, how my
Hmm.
life should have went. But in reality, all these people had opinions, but no one was really leading me in the right direction, if that makes sense.
Oh, that definitely makes sense.
You know, so I started so I moved back out, and I was kind of homeless for a little bit. And then I jumped from friend's house to friend's house. Not really drinking because my friends weren't drinkers, not really doing drugs because they weren't doing drugs.
Hmm.
Um, and then,
So did you end that relationship, the one in
oh,
Korea?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay.
When I left, that was it. Like, I wasn't going back.
Was it because of you think drinking or partying or just being young?
No, so I'll get a little bit into that. Sorry.
Okay.
So with the drinking, there was physical abuse.
Uh,
He was very physical. He would put hands on me almost on a daily if like the house wasn't cleaned, if this wasn't done, always accusing me of things that I wasn't doing. Um, and I took it for a while. And then at a point in time, like my mindset was like, well, if you're accusing me, I might as well just do it, right? So
yeah.
then I'm doing what he's accusing me of, which was cheating, lying. And so I was doing it, because then at least I felt like the beating was worth it in a
Hmm.
way. And that's how sick and twisted, like when you look back at your life when you're sober, like how far back you can go and realize like, man, that was alcoholic addict behavior.
Definitely.
That was stinking thinking kind of deal.
Hmm.
Um yeah, so that was why I left that relationship because I wasn't willing to stay anymore.
Yeah,
Um
yeah.
so I came back to the States and I want to say like not even like the dating world was online and like I jumped in that. Like I was all for it. I did not know how to be alone. I did not feel comfortable in my own skin. Um I didn't know how to be okay with just Marrisa. And so I went on to the dating websites, and that's where I met my kids' dad. And he partied. He partied almost every weekend. We were at the
So
bars.
before we get there, so do you feel all right? So right there, you already had character defects, right?
Yeah,
The in-
definitely.
the
Major.
insecurity,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the uncomfortability, all the things that we use alcohol or drugs, whatever, to feel comfortable in our own skin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can relate
definitely.
to that.
And we don't realize that at the time. I mean,
Right.
I didn't realize that. I really had to do hard work in recovery in the step works. Like, I had to dive into the work because
Mm-hmm.
if I was going to heal, I had to heal all the way back from when I was born. I was born with drugs in my system. I was I almost died at the age of a year because my biological mom was on drugs and she forgot to feed me. And the doctors told my grandparents I wasn't gonna make it within the first for that week. Like, Red Cross was called, my biological dad was brought out of prison in shackles to say goodbye to me.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody thought like that was it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
by the grace of God, here I am,
Mm-hmm.
30, 31, 32 years later. And so I was already born an addict,
Right.
and when they say like it's genetics, like you never really believe that until you really look at your family tree.
Mm-hmm.
At least I didn't believe it. Like, you're crazy, right? Like mental illness, right? Mental illness is genetics also if you go down the line of your family tree.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just crazy, right? Because you don't realize that while you're living life. You really don't. At least not for me. I didn't realize anything I was doing wrong. And it was everybody else's fault why my life wasn't where I needed it to be. um, Realizing that for me now, God has always given me the decision to go the right way or the wrong way, and I just continue to choose the wrong way because it was more exciting. And I
Yeah,
didn't know I had a problem at the time.
right, right. He gives you that free will, and since we don't have the right guidance, uh, well, for me, I didn't have, let's just say, the right guidance. I wanted to be stubborn. I wanted to live life on the edge. I take advantage of my free will,
Yeah, yeah.
and
I mean,
then,
like growing up, we didn't talk about that kind of stuff. We didn't talk about drugs. We didn't talk about crazy things. We didn't talk about it. And if it
mhm,
happened in our household from a brother or something, what stays in our house stays in our house. Like, we don't go and ask for opinions or anything, you know?
yeah,
I mean, the first time I really seen it even play out was with my brother that passed away. And then I seen it again when with another brother who wanted to be just like our biological dad at the time.
mhm,
And his life went spiraling out of control.
right,
And I wasn't going to be like that, but little did
mhm,
I know I was already turning into that, just in different ways. And
right,
it just took a little longer for the disease to take over, if that makes
mhm.
sense.
Slowly or surely.
But yeah, so back to full-fledged alcoholic I became when I met my kids' dad.
Uh-huh.
We were drinking every weekend, and it was okay because he was over 21 and he knew everybody at the bars, and I was only 20, and he would get me in. And I've only known him, like, I didn't even know him. Like, we just started talking, we started dating, and I moved in, like, in a span of 2 months.
Right.
Um, because
You
why
fell
not? It was
you
fun.
fell you fell straight into it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Like, there was no aggressing to my alcoholism. There was just 0 to 100 right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And that was cool. It was cool. And then I ended up 3 months after meeting him, I ended up getting pregnant with twins.
Uh-huh.
And life kind of hit me a little bit there because now here I am. I can't drink no more. I have to be a parent, and but he was still doing it, you
Right,
know.
right.
He was
Yeah.
still drinking, he was still going out to the bars and having fun while I was at home. And there was times I'd go with him, but eventually it kind of felt useless. Like, why am I going? I'm pregnant. Why am I going to put my pregnancy at risk?
Mm-hmm.
Um and I had this whole like fantasy of what my life was going to look like with this man. Like, we were gonna have kids, we were gonna sell our house and buy a bigger one, and we did do that. Don't get me wrong. He was a functioning alcoholic for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he always had friends over. I was always cooking for those friends. Like life was really good. People became family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then when my twins were born, everything kind of seemed to fall apart
Mm-hmm.
because I was still wanting to be a mom, but now that I don't have them in my belly, I wanted to drink because everybody else that was in my house, because it wasn't necessarily we were out at a bar, but people were coming over, seeing the babies. They always knew we had alcohol in our house. Um, I wanted to be a part of, you know?
Right.
And so at first it became, oh, well, the grandparents will come over and babysit and I'll get plaster drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And when I drank, I got like very vicious at times. I was not a fun drunk. I was a very angry drunk. Um, and then there was always issues. The first time I actually started smoking weed was with his brother, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I loved it. At that point in time, I loved it. I loved that I could just relax because I had so much stress. I had twin girls, and nobody tells you how hard one kid is, let alone two kids.
Uh-huh.
Um,
So
I
you
had
felt like it slowed you down?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
exactly. Exactly. And then why not? I could smoke because I was getting nauseous from drinking. So why not just go back and forth, right? And then
Right.
I would end up till 2, 3 in the morning like everybody else. And then I'd get the sleep I needed and then be a mom again when I woke up.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was okay because my kids were always watched and taken care of, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Um, so I thought that was normal at the time. Like I had
Mm-hmm.
nothing else or nobody else to tell me differently. Like my in-laws never once told me differently. My parents never told me differently. Um, and then I want to say, man, was it 9 months, 10 months, maybe 11 months old the twins were. And we had death after death after death between the two of us.
Right.
Um, we had 5 deaths in like a matter of 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that was hard. That was really hard. Nobody really talks about what
Grieving?
the
Okay.
spouse really goes through of the grieving
Mm-hmm.
process because everyone's always there for the person that's grieving, but no one really ever, like how I viewed it at least, or how I still view it. No one really ever looks at what the other person in the relationship and how their grieving process goes.
Right.
Um, and that's how I felt. Like this was a really close knit family, a very
Mm-hmm.
small, close knit family. But everybody knew who they were, so I felt like there was an image to always portray.
Yeah.
And me and his mom didn't get along, like at all. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and Yeah, that's kind of
So do
where.
you do you feel like you didn't really have no one to run to, but let's say their side of the family, or
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I know if I tried to, I could have ran to my family, but I never wanted to put more on my family than I already had put on them because I felt like I was just a burden at that point to my family. And with his family, they were so close knit that I knew if I needed help with anything, I mean, bless her soul, she would come over, his mom would come over every day and allow me to have a 2-hour nap and take care of my twins,
right.
so I could be a productive mom. At the same time, I knew I couldn't go to them about any issue I had in my relationship
Mm-hmm.
because in their eyes, their son was perfect,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
And it just, our relationship was never perfect. I mean, we got together and we were drinking buddies. We moved in. There was, on both ends, there was cheating, lying, abuse on both ends. Um, Man, my house was a chaos. I feel like my house was like legit a party house for people to go to.
Right.
And
Right.
it was okay for the longest time until um
What do you think that played out because there was no boundaries? There was
yeah, there was definitely no boundaries. There was no, I felt like, honest to God, like I don't like talking bad about my kids' dad, but I felt like I was the man in the family and he was just a bystander in the family.
right.
Um I felt like even though he was working, I had to make sure bills were paid. He would work all day and then start drinking and then go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And then here I am stuck with twin girls at home, like just wanting the attention, wanting the love that we had before we had kids.
Mm-hmm.
And that never happened. Like it never, we could, and then after his mom passed away, I feel like nothing was ever the same.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
then when his grandparents passed away, nothing was ever the same. When my dad passed away, I was never the same. Like he could never live up to what my dad was, my grandpa. Like
Mm-hmm.
he just couldn't. He just couldn't. And I had that expectation of him to be just like this man that raised me. And he wasn't even on the scaling plate for me. He was just somebody that I was able to escape to at the time of everything that was happening in my life.
Yeah. 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 That
Um,
makes sense.
yeah, he was my escape.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's what men were for me. They were my escape. Like as long as I had a place to live, that's honestly all that mattered at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um and then my dad died. His brother got man, his brother got cancer and I got pregnant with my son. His brother had passed away and that was my wake up call. Like
Mm-hmm.
my son was 3 months old when his brother passed away. I loved his brother. I knew if I called his brother, like his brother would be there. His brother came and changed my tires. He helped fix anything in my house. I felt like his brother was more of my significant other than my kids' dad was because his
Right.
brother showed up more than he did, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
any sense. Even though nothing ever happened, I'm gonna say that now. Um,
Yeah.
we just had that connection. And then
Right.
when he was dying, I took care of him. I was the last one to hear his heartbeat. Um, that was hard. That was hard on me. And what did we do after he died and everybody came and said their goodbyes? We went to the bar.
Party,
Like,
drink.
yeah, like,
So there's a lot of grieving. There's a lot of deaths.
yeah,
So it's just one after another, and you're not
yeah.
really
There was no
able.
healing in that at all.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And
So,
yeah, when he died, I remember the day he died, I told my kids' dad I was done.
uh-huh.
Like, I'm done. Like, I love you, but I don't. but I don't love you. I love that you gave me children, but
Uh
your brother's last words were, I want to go home.
huh.
And it made me think, like, where's my home at? Because this ain't my home.
Mm.
Like, I didn't make my house a home. I really felt like it was the house everybody went to when they had nowhere to go, or if
Yeah,
they
yeah,
wanted
yeah.
a party, you know? Um, and now I don't have 2 kids, I have 3 kids. Um, and I left.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't go back. Like, there was times in our relationship I'd leave, come back, leave, come back, leave, come back. And this time I left and I didn't go back. And it was a hard road.
Yeah.
It was definitely a hard road.
You checked
And
out? You
yeah,
completely checked out?
yeah, like I moved
Mm-hmm.
out and I
Mm-hmm.
took my kids with me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there was no, there was no give or take. Like, I
Right.
was just done. And,
So at this time, are you actively in your addiction?
oh yeah, I'm full
Uh,
blown doing drinking almost every day. I am smoking weed every day. I
uh-huh.
am popping pills every day. Um, there wasn't a time after he passed away, because I was breastfeeding, I wasn't doing anything for those 3 months.
Right.
And but when he passed away, like, my supply dried up and there was
Uh-huh.
nothing getting it back. Like, my body shut down. And I went full force. Like,
Uh-huh.
full force. I remember drinking and driving, getting high and driving. I mean, the day of his funeral, I drove all the way to the Bay Area and back higher than a kite.
Uh-huh.
Um, and that's how it was for a while when I moved out. Um, I would drink when I didn't have my kids, but I stayed high even when I had my kids.
Yeah, yeah.
And because it was okay to get high, but it wasn't okay to get so blackout drunk, because I always had an excuse as, well, I'm high, but I still know what I'm doing. I still am coherent, like I'm physically there. But when I'm drunk, I get so drunk I black out. And then who's going to take care of my kids, you know?
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Yeah.
um, and it was crazy living that life. I lived that life for years, and then finally, when, yeah, that just happened for years, and our kids would go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Um, and when they
So,
say anyone caught in the crossfire at the end of a AA or NA meeting, the first thing I think of is my kids.
uh-huh.
Like, if I can't realize that they are the ones caught in the crossfire, then something is really wrong and I need to do more than just recovery.
Right, right.
You know, because I didn't go through all this healing, this work, the tears, the sweat, the blood, the dropping people out of my life,
Uh-huh.
um, to go back to that. And I'm not promised tomorrow. Like, that does not say me and I'm promised tomorrow. I am not promised tomorrow. But today, that's still how I think.
Right.
And as long as I wake up tomorrow and put work into it, my kids are still going to have a sober mom.
Right, right, right.
And there's a difference between what's the word? There's
Well,
a
I think
difference. Go
go ahead.
ahead, sorry.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
There's a difference between being sober and what is it? What's the term? Anyways, there's a difference when you're either
So let me I think
go ahead.
so there's a difference between being sober. For me, it's being sober and then being in recovery, right?
Yes, thank you, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
Because
because I could be sober and still have all those addict alcoholic tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could still be that. I like to call myself the tornado because when Marissa's not working a program, she's a tornado and she'll destroy everything in her path.
Right.
And when Marissa's in recovery and is working a program, the program, um, my kids don't have to worry about it. And my
Mm-hmm.
kids will be the first to tell me, Mom, you need to go to a meeting. Mom, you need to call your sponsor. And I love that. Like, I
Right.
love that because if you want somebody to be honest with you, talk to a child.
For
Uh,
sure.
they are the most honest human beings that I know. And that's because I
And
raised my kids in the rooms, you know, and some
yeah.
people don't, and that's okay. I had, honestly, with it being a genetic disease, and I'd rather my kids know where to go than not know where to go. One. Two, I really didn't have a choice. When
Mm-hmm.
I got sober, I
So
immediately started, go ahead.
so when did you start
Oh,
realizing that your life was spiraling out of control? What were some of the consequences you were dealing
yeah.
with?
So I started my significant other that I'm with today.
Mm-hmm.
I had a DV, a domestic violence case with him because I ended up going from drinking weed, pills to meth.
Mm-hmm.
Um and I was a cycle. Like if I wasn't in order to drink, I had to go low. In order to go low, I had to, in order to do the meth, I had to take a pill. In order to stop being dry mouth, I had to drink.
Mm-hmm.
And that's happened, man. And it wasn't like right off the bat that I just went straight from drinking. No, I was doing drinking, I was smoking, and I was doing pills. And my significant other, he didn't even know half of the things I was doing. That's how good I thought I was being. Like that's how sneaky I thought I was.
Yeah.
And some of the consequences were I overdosed in front of my kids.
Ooh.
And my daughters were 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And we were living with my significant other at the time. And I remember calling 911 before I passed out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when the ambulance got there, the firefighters got there, they couldn't find a heartbeat. They had to like do what they did. And my kids are right there watching. My son's like 1 and my daughters are 3. Um, and that's kind of the first time I knew I had a problem, like a major problem, right? They had to wait till my significant other came and took their kids to their dad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when their dad, my kids' dad, found out that I was really bad off.
Right.
Um, um, and I still played it off. Like I went to I call it the cuckoo house. My kids call it the cuckoo house, the in Puff and Modesto. And I was there 3 days. I said, you know what? I'm going to stay sober this time. I got out and literally not even 10 minutes later, I was rolling a blunt and I had one of those MD 2020s in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then it was just a vicious cycle again. I mean, I already had a DV case. I already overdosed. And I still had my kids in this process, you know,
Yeah.
which blows my mind. Like my kids will tell you, and also another consequences when you think your kids are too little and they're not gonna remember, they're gonna remember. My daughter
Mm-hmm.
was 3 years old and she remembers that day completely.
Right, right.
My daughters remember me chasing down their stepdad with a car.
Mm-hmm.
My daughters remember me punching a window in because I locked ourselves out
Mm-hmm.
and sending my daughter through that broken window to go unlock the door in the house.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Imagine all that trauma that we think, oh, they're too little, they're not going to remember. They remember. They remember better than I remember. And the reason I remember is because they remembered.
Right. They remind you.
Yeah. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, oh man, I really did that, right? And
Uh-huh.
I was psycho. I was off the hook. I was seeing things. I was paranoid. It was bad. But let me get back to the fast part. On July 4th, 2020, COVID was in the blooms and everything. And I remembered that I was done with life. I didn't want to live.
Uh-huh.
So I hit up my plug and told him, like, give me all you have, you know? And I remember snorting, smoking meth, um, like it was cocaine. I
Right, right.
remember going to my kid's dad's house and drinking with him.
Uh-huh.
When I woke up 3 days later on my daughter's floor in their dad's house, and I was seeing cockroaches crawling up my kid's leg.
Uh-huh.
And my son was literally putting an ice pack on my forehead. And he's 1.5, 2 maybe at the time, and my daughters were 4. And my
Uh-huh.
daughters are like throwing out my throw up bags because I threw up everywhere, and they wanted to make sure that they clean up after myself. They clean up after me. Um, I knew I was done.
Uh-huh.
Like, could you imagine 3 days of your life going by and you don't even have those 3 days in your memory bank, and then you wake up and your kids are taking care of you and they're still in diapers? Like,
Yeah.
that was the worst feeling I've ever felt. I still feel that feeling till this day. Um, and I remember calling my boyfriend and he's all like, well, if you need help, this is it. Like, I'm either gone and you're going to lose your kids if you don't get the help, or you're going to end up just like your mom. And when I heard that, I remember thinking to myself, like, I already am my mom.
Right.
Like, she gave up her kids, and here I am about to give up my kids.
So
And
you were repeating the same cycle over
yeah,
and over.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. There was no generational there was like a generational curse that was latched onto us, that I was just gonna do the same thing she did, you know. And I swore up and down I was never gonna be like her.
Uh-huh.
And I remember going into the insanity home, and I told them I don't have a psychotic problem. I have a drug problem,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not leaving here until you help me. And that detox was the hardest detox of my life. I remember it like clear as day. Um, and I didn't leave. They
Uh-huh.
kept trying to put me on meds, and I was taking the meds. If it meant I was staying there to stay sober, I was taking the meds.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah.
And when I left there, I was on like 15 different hot meds,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
you know? But I was sober. I wasn't on drugs or alcohol. And I didn't last a day without going back. And then finally I called it a transitional living, and I ended up at a faith-based transitional living in Modesto called the Doodle Ranch. And when
Uh-huh.
I say it was from God, it was from God. And when I say that I couldn't do it on my own, I couldn't do it on my own. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror.
Right, right.
Um, and I was there. I stayed there for 3 years. For 3 years, they welcomed my kids. My kids lived there for 2 years with me. In that whole process of going there, I went there. I got sober for a year and 3 months. I relapsed. Usually, they're supposed to kick you out and boot you this to the curb and
Uh-huh.
say, go get sober and come back. And she didn't. She goes, I'm going to give you a second chance, but are you done? I
Yeah.
remember that day clearly. Are you done, Marrisa? Because you might not have another one in you. And I
Uh-huh.
said, I'm done. I am done. I will do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And I got honest with myself, and I said I was lying. I lied about everything. I
Uh-huh.
mean, I lied on my step work. It was just a homework assignment. Couldn't come clean with my sponsor about certain things, even though I was pretty much honest, but not honest about the good stuff.
Right.
Um, I couldn't stop messaging people from the past. Like, I literally had to let it all go and surrender it to God.
Uh-huh.
And that was the only way. And it's funny when I look back at it, like God had it all lined up. Because if it wasn't for my relapse, I would not be 4 years clean and sober today.
Right.
If it wasn't for my relapse, I probably would have went back out again.
Uh-huh.
Um, but 3 months in my second time going, my research, people call it the research. I had to do more research. 3 months in, I got full and sole custody of my kids.
Uh-huh.
Um, I was working 2 jobs.
Uh-huh.
I was taking them to school. I was picking them up. I was being a mom being full time. And not only that, I had a foundation that not even the devil was gonna rock away or anything. I had a foundation and a support team that the transitional living, the Dude on Ranch I was living at, um, they were my sister, my mom, my dad. They were grandpa, grandma, auntie. Because in my addiction, I had broken all those bridges with
Uh-huh.
my family. I'd broken all those bridges with people that loved and cared about me. And so God gave me a family to be in place because He knew that's what I needed. He knew that I was going to need all the help could get, and they're still in my life. My
They
kids
start
go
they
over,
started loving you until you started
yeah,
loving yourself.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
And I remember one day I was dressed like I used to dress, and she comes in there, the owner of the transitional leader living, and she goes, "You're not an orphan, Marrisa. You're beautiful in God's eyes. You're beautiful in my eyes."
Uh-huh.
And that stuck with me. Like, I do not need to dress the same way that I used to. I do not need to be somebody that I'm not.
Right.
And that place
They're
saved my life. Like that, like this tools I got in that place, I use in my own home today.
uh-huh.
When they say build a routine, no, they say put God first, build a routine, love yourself, and everything will fall in place. It is so true.
Uh-huh.
Because if I put God first every day I wake up, it doesn't mean it's going to be rainbows and butterflies, but it means that I'm going to make it through because I'm turning towards God through everything in the process.
Uh-huh.
Um, Make a routine. Like, it is so healthy to be structured and have a routine and not just live as if I was still drunk or as if I was still getting high. Um, because living without a routine is chaotic. It's that stinking thinking where I start letting the disease and the devil start eating at me, and it's not a good place or mindset. They say that the mind and the heart are the farthest places away, but if you could get them connected, that you'll be golden.
Uh-huh.
Something like that. But and that's where I'm at today. Like, as long as my heart and my mind are in the same place, I know I put God first because only God could do that.
Uh-huh.
Um, and making that routine is not just healthy for me, but it's healthy for my kids because they know, because it took a lot of time to build that trust that mom's not going to leave them. Mom's not going to them up mentally or emotionally no more. Mom's not going to just disappear to in the bathroom for 10 minutes to go get drunk or loaded. They
Uh-huh.
don't have to worry about calling 911 because there goes mom again. They don't have to worry about me,
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
know? And it's because I work at it. I work every day to build that trust back up. I work every day to make sure that they have somewhere safe to go, like I had somewhere safe to go in recovery.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Do you feel like now that you know, you have recovery and you know, you have sobriety, you have God first in your life, you're breaking those generational curses.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
100%. And not every day I feel that way, but most days, and that's a win because generational curses are broken the minute you try to do something different. And
Yeah.
that's just what I believe. I believe that the seed was planted for my kids the minute I chose life.
Mm-hmm.
The minute I chose God, the seed was planted.
Right.
And regardless if my kids end up drunk or high, I'll be sober
Mm-hmm.
to walk them through those doors.
Right.
You know? And as long as I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm going to have another 24 hours and another 24 hours. Because this week has been like the longest week. My daughter was hospitalized. My other daughter got injured. Um, it was chaotic. And I felt
Mm-hmm.
alone in the process. And I kept being reminded that you're never alone because God's right there by you.
Right.
You're never alone because God has you. When you see footprints walking across the sand, it's not because you're walking alone, it's because God's carrying you.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And it's important for me to remember that and put God first in everything because he saved me and did only what he could do that I couldn't do for myself.
Right.
And he continues to show up as long as I seek him.
Mm-hmm.
And with recovery, like, I'm not big on sharing my story. I'm not big on like being in the spotlight, but lately I felt the urge that people need to hear everybody's story, because if we're not reminding people what it took for what we went through and how we got the life we got, then we're not giving back freely what was freely given to us, you
Right.
know? And for me, it is super important to give back what was given to me because I have a life better than I even imagined when I walked through the doors of AA.
Mm-hmm.
When they say just stay until the miracle happens, the miracle continues to happen even after that first one. There's always the second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah,
you got a lot of strength, you know, a lot of growth. And it's good because you could share with others, you know, through your story and through your testimony, um, through your trials and the errors that you went through
yeah,
in life, but it forged you to be the woman you are today. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You're present, you're in your children's life.
yeah,
You know, you have a solid foundation, you have a relationship with God. And those are super important things that we lack because um you know, we're trying to live on the edge or
yeah.
um you know, we don't know how to deal with life on life's terms without trying to escape all the time.
Yeah, that's
You know,
good because I literally just told my daughter, I said, man, and I bring up my kids a lot because they have been through it all with me. Like,
mhm,
I remember the first time I got sober, it was for them. And then I relapsed and realized I had to get sober for myself so my kids would have a mom to turn to,
yeah.
And I do. I talk about my kids all the time. I share with them just about everything. And I told my daughter today, she told me today, she goes, "You're really strong, Mom."
Mhm.
I go, "Honey, we're all strong because God has us. We're
Right.
rich because we got God in the midst of it all, you
Mhm.
know? And she goes, "You must have talked to your sponsor today." And it was really good because I talked to her like 2 days ago.
Mhm.
And the topic of me and my sponsor, it doesn't matter how many years you got sober, you need a sponsor. She is my go-to person for everything. I mean, everything. I might wait. I talk to her at least weekly, sometimes every 2 weeks, because I'm a busy recovering mom. And what I learn in the rooms, I implement in my household.
Mm.
And in order to do that, I have to make sure my house comes first. You
Right.
know, not necessarily first because I know if it wasn't for recovery that I wouldn't have what I have today. But I'm at that stage in recovery where if I call my sponsor, hit a meeting once a week, twice a week, use all the tools in my backpack, then I'm golden. And
Right.
there are times I wish I could go to more meetings, you know, where I moved to. The
Mm-hmm.
closest meeting is like 35 minutes away. So I'm not always blessed enough to reach a meeting, but I do love going to outside meetings. And when I get a chance, I go. But I do a lot more online meetings lately than because my kids need me.
Right.
And God has made me sober so I can be there for them. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so right now, by the grace of God, I'm a sober parent. I'm a recovering parent that is putting all her focus into my kids' needs.
Right.
Because, like you heard earlier, my girls are going to be 12 in four
Mm-hmm.
months, and they're going through a whole different feelings, emotions, mentality, how they look. And those are all things I wasn't taught about. And I want to be able to teach them and be there when they just have a question, you know? And I'm so grateful. Like, I am grateful to be able to do that today because 5 years ago, I was more grateful if I had a bottle in my hand, a pipe in my hand, a blunt in my hand. And today, I don't think that way. And
I'm
I
super
do have
proud.
to be careful because if I'm not careful, I can still behave as if I was on drugs. And then I get questioned, are you on drugs, mom? Have you drank today, mom? And I'm like, dude, I was with you all day. Oh, well, you need to
Mm-hmm.
call your sponsor.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Well, they're reminding you, you know?
Yeah. And it's a blessing, right?
Yeah.
Because not everybody has that reminder next door to your bedroom.
Yeah. Do you feel like today that you're comfortable in your own skin?
Oh, man. I feel like I've been asking God for that for so long. So we bought a house all the way in Chowchilla, away from everybody I know,
Mm-hmm.
away from my support, away from my foundation, so I could be comfortable. And for the first time in my whole recovery, I could look in the mirror and say, Marissa, you're a child of God and I love you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've been telling myself every day since I've moved to Chowchilla. Um, because I don't have a physical human being in recovery. My boyfriend, he's a normie, so he doesn't necessarily understand, but he's been there since I started my addiction. He walked with me through my addiction and my recovery, and he still stands by me. And my kids have a bonus dad because I decided to change and he decided not to walk away, you
Mm.
know?
Yeah.
And I remember in the beginning of my recovery, even just a year ago, I was not able to sit in a room by myself with nothing on.
Mm-hmm.
I had to have a TV, I had to be listening to music, I had to have something. And today I enjoy being in that special place. I call it a secret place because that's where I could listen to God. That's where I could talk to God. Um, and surrender pretty much anything that I need to surrender today. And I'm not perfect at it. I don't do it 7 days a week, but I'm pretty sure I do 4 or 5 days a week. Um, if my kids are learning how to be okay in their own skin, they're okay. They
Yeah.
don't need noise because that's all it is, right? Everything on the outside is noise is because you don't want to know what's going on between your ear to ear because be the worst feeling. I remember thinking it was a hamster wheel. I used to not be able to sleep because my hamster wheel would not stop.
You found peace.
I,
You found some peace.
yeah, I
Yeah.
found a lot of peace. Moving has been a blessing in disguise because even though I had to let go of physical being, of physical touch with my loved ones, as much as I got it when I was there, I found something that's even better, and that's the spiritual aspect of this program.
Mm,
Because that's what this program is. It is spiritual. It
right.
is it is spiritual. It is about relationships. It is about self-worth. It is about,
Service.
yes, service. It is about, recovery, obedience, discipline, because we are the most undisciplined people on this planet. I feel like. And
Definitely.
and if we don't have all of that, then what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
Why even try? Right? You're just
Right.
going to be miserable, and misery loves company, and I am not one to be miserable today. You
Right.
know,
Right.
I am done with being miserable, and if the solution is to open my book or pick up that phone list, then that's what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because this
To
is
get
a
out, to get
simple
out of self,
program.
right?
Yes, this is a
Mm,
simple program that I make complicated.
definitely. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and I refuse to do it anymore, and I refuse to live a peaceful life, and God has blessed me with that,
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, every day isn't like this. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
5 days ago I was crying because my daughter was in the hospital, and I had to surrender my daughter to God and allow
Mm-hmm.
God to take care of the situation. That was one of the hardest things I've ever done, being sober.
Yeah.
Um, because, like, yeah, I'm not going to get much into that, but it was hard. I do want to bring up one thing real fast about God, right? Because I didn't trust God when I first got into recovery. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and at the time, my higher power wasn't God. My higher power wasn't just the bottle, wasn't just the drugs, wasn't just the fix. It was a man.
Mm,
And as long as he was satisfying my every need, it was okay. I didn't need God because God wasn't fixing anything, but this man was. And I need to say that for all the women out there that has a man, or even a man that has a woman out there that thinks that the opposite sex or the same sex could fix them. It's not going to happen. And I still have to remind myself of that daily, that he is not here to fix me. God is here to guide me, and the only one that deserves the God position is God.
right.
And and that was a hard pill to swallow when I first went into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, because step 3, they talk about that. That's all about God, right? Well, my God
Mm-hmm.
was my man.
Yeah.
Like, of course he could fix me. Of course he does this. Of course he does that. But in reality, who is God to you? And I had to look at that. I had to look
Mm-hmm.
at that. And who am I to not forgive God if he's forgiven me and died on the cross for me?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just wanted to make that, because it is super important that, and not everybody's gonna use God as their higher power,
Right.
um, and that's okay, because everybody is in a different journey in their lives. But I do believe this program is a spiritual program. And for me, God has saved me, and he saves me every day, and sometimes every minute of the day,
Mm-hmm.
if I get out of the way, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Because if I don't get out of the way, then he ain't going to do anything. I'm going to
Right.
keep
Right.
running into that brick wall that I keep putting there myself, with each brick, with the cement and everything.
Yeah, because then you're running off of Marissa's will and not
Yeah,
God's will, you
exactly.
know?
Exactly.
Hey, Marissa, if someone's listening and feels hopeless right now, what would you tell them?
Oh man, don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give up. Like, life is hard without addiction, without mental illness. Life is hard just with life. Life is hard being a parent. Life is hard being a brother, a sister, a niece, a nephew. Life is hard, but don't give up because your miracle is going to come as
Mm-hmm.
long as you're willing, and that's all it takes. It talks about
Yeah.
that and everything. You just have to have the desire. The desire.
Mm-hmm.
So have the desire to live one more day. Have the
Mm-hmm.
desire to live one more minute. Because I'm telling you, I've been to hell and it's not
Mm-hmm.
pretty. And I'm making my way to heaven because it is
Mm-hmm.
beautiful and I know it. And if you need to reach out, reach out. Reach out to a stranger if you just need to talk. Because for me, I feel like talking to a stranger sometimes is way easier than talking to a loved one. Um,
Right.
just reach out and don't give up and wait for that miracle because it's here for you. And it doesn't have to be drugs and alcohol, and it doesn't have to be mental illness. It could just be life because
Mm.
today life is hard.
Definitely, definitely. Uh, is there anything that we didn't cover that you would like to add on?
I am so proud of you. You give me a lot of hope. Um, for somebody that I used to drink with. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we've watched each other's struggles, and to be able to watch you do what you're doing, you give me hope that one day that my kids' dad will be able to do it. And watching people that used to drink in my house and do drugs in my house get sober, they know who
Yeah.
they are. It gives me hope today, and I'm just so proud of you. And I hope you keep spreading that word because we are disciples of God, and we can't share our message if we keep our mouth shut.
Right, right, right.
So that's
Marissa,
about
I
it.
appreciate that, man. You're definitely, like I said, you're definitely an inspiration. Um, I wanted to have you on here so uh we could get it from a girl's perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because addiction is addiction, but everybody's message is different, you know? And I'm sure that individuals got something um from your testimony and they need a see an example or hear something that might click in their head and if she could do it, I could do it. You know what I mean? And it
yeah,
doesn't
definitely.
necessarily have to be struggling with an addiction or anything, man. It's just showing that there's a higher power who could give you or fulfill things that are missing in your life, you know? So
Yeah, definitely.
I appreciate you 100%. If anybody could find you or anybody could reach out to you, can you let them know where they could reach out to you at?
Yeah, so you could reach out to me on Facebook. I am there. You could reach out to me on Instagram under Marissa Pacheco 30. And honestly, I'll go ahead and you could reach out to my email, which is marissapacheco24@gmail.com. Um, that's pretty much all the social sites that I'm on today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but definitely reach out because I will talk to you, I will listen to you, and I will always answer. And it doesn't matter what time of the day, I'm always available.
Well, thank you, Marissa,
You're
and
welcome. Thank you.
we'll uh we'll talk after.
Yes,
But I appreciate you a lot, honestly. Again, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for all the individuals that joined the live. I'll have this on YouTube. Give me a couple days, and just stay tuned. You know,
yes, definitely.
it's only progress from here, and just giving back what was freely given to us. You know.
Yeah, the kids want to say goodnight to Uncle.
Good night. You
Say
guys.
goodnight. Okay,
Where's the?
bye.
Okay, I'll talk to you later then.
Okay,
I
bye.
appreciate you.
Of course, no problem.
Okay, bye bye.
Okay, bye.